I'm V. Ramnareis. I'm a lecturer at University Merito Wrocław in Poland, and also I am a certified positive intelligence coach. I work with women who are looking to expand their career options and seeking emotional mastery in order to lead in a calm and fulfilling way.
Considering your next career move, but are you widening the frame or just recycling familiar options?
Are you considering your next career move? But are you widening the frame or just recycling familiar options? Because most people aren't really choosing. They are filtering through what feels realistic, what feels available, what fits their life that they already have. And that's okay. But what if that frame is too narrow? Even the right decision won't create movement.
So what's actually going on when people feel stuck?
They're solving the wrong problem. They assume it's personal, and they may say something like, I need more confidence, I need more skills, I need to push harder. But very often, that's not the issue. The issue isn't capability. The issue is access. Access to the next level, access to a structure that can actually use your capacity. And when that access isn't there, effort has a very limited return. So working smarter, not harder, is really what proves to be true.
Can you give an example of what that looks like?
Sure, let me give you one example and you will see clearly that this works. So, let's take this high achiever, a woman who is very experienced, who is very capable and very good at what she does. She performs extremely well in her role. So, on paper, everything looks fine. But there is something she started noticing, a certain gap. And once she saw that gap, she couldn't unsee it. She wasn't using her full capacity in her role.
What made that so clear for her?
Well, she notices there is a striking contrast in her professional life. In her day-to-day role, the level of responsibility was nowhere near her capability. But outside of that environment, she was operating very differently. She was leading the team. She was chairing a board of trustees. She was managing projects. Basically, she was navigating complexity of mid-sized organization outside her day job. So there was a huge gap. And once she saw it, she couldn't unsee it.
What did that gap actually mean?
The gap actually meant one thing: structural mismatch. Her capability had outgrown the system she was in. And that's a very different diagnosis to looking at the problem as personal. Because when you see it that way, a structural issue, you stop trying to fix yourself. Because you is not the problem. And you start looking for a structure that actually can help you to fill that gap. Most often than not, professionals work within already existing capacities and they have what it takes for the next move. So the limitation is just the familiarity. My series of interviews is to show you when you can broaden that frame. Can you live in UK and study in Europe without creating chaos in your life? Yes, you can.
So what could she do to fill that gap?
One thing to do is to stop looking only for options within the same frame. So instead of asking, should I register with a recruitment agency or should I ask for promotion? She asked, was the structure that she existed in appropriate for the growth and using her capacity to the full potential? And that's the shift most people don't make because they stay within familiar.
What assumptions did she have to challenge?
I think the biggest assumption we have to challenge here is that we study and work near where we live. That makes sense to an extent. However, when she challenged that assumption, the geography wasn't a barrier anymore and the new options became visible.
So how did she choose her path?
Once this assumption was gone, she applied a very strict set of criteria. Her next move had to be to something that is high quality, flexible, compatible with full-time job, and logistically realistic. And that led her to look outside UK. She was considering Europe for her master's degree, and she narrowed her choices to Poland. Not by chance, by design.
And in practice, was it manageable?
Studying in Poland while living and working in UK required structure. But it didn't cause the level of disruption that you might think. Everything was planned in advance. She traveled in blocks, usually once a month on the weekend. She had a predictable schedule up to 6 months in advance. So this wasn't about working harder. This was about designing something that works for her.
What changed for her?
Her professional position changed very quickly, and she could see the positive impact pretty much within the same year. While she was still studying, she moved up 4 levels onto the senior role, and she stepped right into the management of her organization. She started leading teams, managing projects at a much higher level. So not because she suddenly became more capable. That was possible because she now had something new to offer, and she gained access to a different structure that recognized her.
And what happened next?
Her professional frame widened a lot, even more so. She was invited to lecture at 2 different universities, so her return on investment was very tangible. And at this point, there is something I need to tell you. That woman that we looked at as an example was me. And since then, I've seen the same pattern with other professionals I work with and coach. So much so, I created this series in which I speak to different people from different industries, different roles, but on the same issue. Not capability, on the issue of widening the frame, on the issue of structure, and most of all, mindset shift.
So where does this pathway come from?
My series is sponsored by Merito University in Poland. And that matters because institutions like this create the structure that makes this move possible. Merito has programs designed for professionals who want to expand their options without disrupting their life and without creating chaos. They are the top privately owned universities in the country with 10 branches in major cities. And one of them, Wrocław, where I'm here speaking to you, was voted number 1 in last year European Cities and Regions of the Future 2025. So really fun place to be.
What's the one thing people should take away?
If you are thinking about your next move, don't start with action. Start with perspective. Start with your mind shift and explore your assumptions. Because if you are only looking at what's familiar and what feels safe, you're not really choosing. You're filtering and you're recycling. Same old, same old. Everyone does the same. So think that sometimes the most strategic move is not to try harder, but to try smarter. If this resonates, I invite you to follow us on YouTube and subscribe to our channel Back to Calm, Emotional Mastery for Leaders. And if you want to check Merito programs, go to their website, www.merito.pl. And apart from that, I would love to connect with you via LinkedIn, so please look me up, V Ramnarais. Thank you for tuning in and looking forward to meeting you at our next episode. Goodbye.